I'm Stephen Inniss, writer and director of Tinhead. Tinhead follows Becca, a middle-aged woman who takes care of her elderly father at home, while her brother argues for putting him in a nursing home. It's a film about the fear of change and letting go. Because it's a short film, not a lot of stuff ended up on the cutting room floor, but we did have one scene that we cut that made a subtle but significant difference to the film as a whole. Today I want to share that scene with you and talk about why we cut it. It's almost always a hard decision to cut a scene wholesale because when writing the script, you try and strip out things that don't enhance the film. Then actually shooting the scene represents a lot of work that, if cut, no one gets to see. Videos like this notwithstanding. But sometimes for the good of the film, it has to be done. This scene takes place at the beginning of the movie before Becca's brother is introduced. So let's take a look and come back and discuss.
Are you watching your favorite program?
Beck. Oh. Too big.
I don't disagree, but it keeps you healthy. Come on. Okay. What are we watching here anyway? Do you mind if I change the channel?
I think it's a nice little scene. Gives us a look at the happiness that does exist in this relationship and thereby sets up the status quo that Becca fights to protect later in the movie. So why did we decide to remove it? One big reason is to improve the pacing of the film. In a short film especially, you really have to get the plot going quickly, and this scene unfortunately does not advance the plot. That really starts to happen in the scene that came after this. With this one in, it just took too long to get to the central conflict. As a result, the pacing of the film was unbalanced. As I mentioned, the main function of this scene in the script is to establish the status quo that Becca was fighting for. But as we went through the editing process, it became apparent that this was accomplished across a number of other scenes. Together, they communicated both the love and responsibility that Becca feels for her dad, as well as the weight of that responsibility. And they have the benefit of introducing characters and important concepts, as well as moving the story forward. When you're writing a screenplay, all you have is words. And so it sometimes feels necessary to create a scene that communicates ideas that are important to understanding the narrative. Then when you have all the benefits of the visual aspects of filmmaking and good actors in those roles, you might find that what it took an entire scene to get across on paper comes across much more efficiently on the screen. And what seemed pretty essential in the script turns out to be totally redundant in the edited film. The scene shows Becca being totally comfortable with being her dad's caretaker, and the conflict between her and her brother is pretty much one of he thinks it's a better idea to put dad in a home, she thinks it's better for her to keep looking after him herself. When we took the scene out, it surfaced a sense of internal conflict in Becca's characterization that was a bit buried before. So now, instead of Becca being in conflict with her brother because she thinks she's right and he's wrong, the conflict is now that she wants to be right, but she's afraid that he's right. And that's much more interesting, especially as we can see on her face those two ideas fighting for dominance. And it makes the conclusion of the film, which I won't spoil here if you haven't seen it, but how Becca deals with this internal conflict and the decisions that she ultimately makes are more impactful. And so the film is more impactful because of this change. So there you have it. I hope this discussion has been interesting. I quite like doing this kind of breakdown, and I find that, especially when breaking down my own work, I gain a lot of helpful insight into how my scripts and films are functioning. That ultimately makes me a better writer and director. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you're interested in this kind of video, and perhaps I can do more of them.